hello, and welcome, everybody. I am the Watcher on the web. As you'll notice, I am the only one at the helm today. Scott could not make it. Tragically, he's been struck down due to some obvious Asian illness of some sort. Woe is him. Pray for his recovery. But I am, however, joined by Blaine Pardo. How are you doing, Blaine?
Good morning.
It's been a little while since we've seen you. I appreciate you answering when I lit the beacon this morning. We're also, of course, joined by Hunter. Hunter, how you doing, man?
Good morning, gents. It sounds like I'm not the only one who didn't get awesome sleep last night, so at least I'm among company.
Yeah, I'll explain that to the chat in a minute. But yeah, we are very ratchet today, chat. You'll understand in a moment. Sniper, how are you doing today, man? Have you transitioned buildings successfully? He might not be back yet.
Sniper
All right.
unavailable for comment.
Sniper unavailable for comment. He's still transitioning between buildings. That's fine. We'll catch up with him when we can. But chat, we've got a wonderful show for you today. If you haven't seen it already, here's the thumbnail I worked out. I'm sure you've just not seen enough of that particular face.
It makes me feel like joy.
Listen,
do you
I
feel
could
the
never
joy-
see Kamala's face for the
joy
rest of my life, and it would be too soon, okay?
down in your heart? Well, I'm sorry, boys, but we've got a lot of that going on today. It's kind of her party, you know what I mean? And I guess we'll cry if she wants us to.
All I have to say is every party needs a pooper, and that's apparently why we invited Kamala.
So to explain a few things before we jump into it, chat. Yes, I got news sometime around 2 a.m. my time that Scott would not be available and that I needed to get up and do the notes. So I conveniently had not fallen asleep yet. So I am operating on about a half-hour nap I took after I got the thumbnail knocked out. This is going to be great. So if there's any complaints about quality, please submit them to my quality control department.
In other words, the trash can.
There it is.
Yeah. File it into your nearest available shredder. With that, gents, let's move into the odds and ends for this morning. The FBI chief says you should be very, very afraid. He has decided that now is the time that you should notice all of the things that he has deliberately not been noticing for many moons, we'll just say. The United States is facing an unprecedented confluence of security threats, according to Christopher Wray, who said that the agency is deeply concerned about the simultaneous rise of terrorism, cybercrime, foreign election interference, and espionage activities by adversarial powers. Notice adversarial powers isn't covered by foreign powers. So he is actually technically covering the main threat there, isn't he? In a sneaky way.
Indeed.
Well, all I can say to this is, the FBI has been focused on domestic terror threats from the alt-right for the last 3 years, and there hasn't been a single instance of them ever doing anything. There's plenty of instances of the left doing stuff. And also I think this is more of an indication of everybody can smell weakness coming out of Pennsylvania Avenue in DC, and it emboldens your enemies to do all sorts of stuff.
It's true. It's not wise when you're being stalked by a predator to display weakness. It tends not to go well. Hold on, I see a private chat. Okay, cool. Sniper, welcome back. How are you, bud?
It is a good morning. And the alt-right, Blaine, the alt-right did plenty of things. They kept U-Haul in business apparently for the last 3 years.
Well,
Really? I
well,
missed all that.
well. I did not miss the fact that certain other forces, boy, if you just change the garb, they'd look very familiar. Decided to haul themselves in on U-Hauls to the DNC convention.
I have
Not
a
that was
conundrum about
not
that I
missed.
really can't talk about.
The only alt-right anybody ever saw were the guys in khaki pants from the FBI who showed up at every alleged alt-right
Correct.
activity.
Facts. And as long as we're
Correct.
here, I'll just say it right out loud. Boy, it's interesting that I've only ever seen people haul large groups of people around. There's only 2 groups of people I've ever seen haul large groups of people around in the backs of U-Haul trucks, and that would be our alleged alt-right and feds until this weekend when various different protesters against the DNC, which also read in Antifa and leftists, decided to do the same for buttloads of violent people and also various different Muslim communities that they were trying to use as a shield.
And dear federal agents, hauling people in the back of the U-Hauls is actually against federal law. You should probably
Illegal.
check.
It's illegal. I'm sure they're very concerned about that.
It's not illegal when they do it.
Laws for thee, but not for me, it seems.
Yeah.
Ray declined to go into detail about any specific investigation or threat. Oh, really? No, he didn't want to spend any time on the numerous different people on his own agency's watch list that have been led across the southern border in the last 4 years. He was busy, I'm sure.
Well, maybe it's because they put so many resources into investigating the Trump assassination attempt.
That must be it, Blaine. That must be it. And it's the same skilled, seasoned investigators that brought us the answers to such thrilling questions as who tied a loop in this knot in this rope, and hey, why did the black kid draw a swastika in his own bathroom? Just thrilling cases.
Shh. You're not supposed to bring that up.
What about Jesse Smollett? I think we should.
That one. Yeah, well, there's always worth a mention. Yeah. It's great. He does actually get into China, but the left does this funny evasive thing where when you mention China, they always have to mention Russia in the same breath, and if they don't, then it's a faux pas.
Watcher, you're mispronouncing it. From now on, you gotta say it the correct way. It's China.
China.
Yeah.
It's.
I'm sorry, the jokes are not going to get any better. By the way.
Oh yeah, no, you should be aware of that. Don't worry, Laura. We will cover this in an ad break, and we'll cover it in its appropriate time. We just want to make sure that we gather the many before we come. And in fact, thank you for something else you said here, folks. If you do us a favor, go ahead and give the show a like. I know that we haven't been doing our little like drives like we used to in the long run, but it really does help the show spread. Give the show a like, give it a share out if you can. We'd really appreciate it. Who has Sibley button duty? The truth. I'm not sure who's on rotating Sibley button duty. Who's got the briefcase at the moment?
I have a question about the story that we were just addressing before we navigate away from it too far. Forgive the clumsy nature of asking this question.
Go for it.
But as far as this is concerned, we've seen a number of your standard leftists acknowledging what we've all been saying for the last 3.5 years, like, the FBI should acknowledge threats outside of moms at school board meetings, because that's not actually a threat. Kamala's coming out and saying, the economy is not doing great, and we're going to do something about that, as if they haven't been in charge for the last 3.5 years. Et cetera, et cetera. Basically, them starting to acknowledge current realities that we've all been saying has been the case. And they're just basically stealing our line in the same vein that they're stealing policy propositions from J.D. Vance and Donald Trump, a la, not taxing tips. Is that all that they have left? Is just stealing the shit that we're saying, or is this indicating something else going on?
No, well, okay. So I want you to remember that the group of people that we're talking about studies history quite thoroughly. And do you know how you beat a populist movement that's wanting to promise people that they'll start using their own money for them again? Do you know how you beat that back?
How is that?
Steal it.
You promise the exact same thing but 10 times as much, and then you never deliver.
Well, and I think some of this is with the election coming, it could be they're hedging their bets over at the FBI because a number of them are going, look, if we don't start acknowledging these other threats, when the new administration comes in, we could be losing our jobs.
I think that's fair. I also think the other side of this that's probably fair to acknowledge is they could be saying it because they know something's about to happen. And they could know something's about to happen in the same way that they've known a lot of other things are going to happen.
Because they create them.
Yeah. Or
Truly
either
shocking.
create them, or stand out of the way. Right? One of the two. He was known to us. I'm sure
He
that
was on our radar.
There you go.
A line repeated far too often.
Yeah, I Hunter, if that's what you're driving at, I think it's probably fair to say. I like that this comes out at the same time that Klaus Schwab, literally within hours of Klaus Schwab saying that for the world to prepare for oh god, I can't remember the verbiage on this most recent one, but something like lightning rapid destabilizations or something like that.
An awful lot like worldwide civil wars, but I don't know anybody who
Jeez.
said that.
I don't know anybody either. Definitely not for years at a time on a show that you can contribute to help it spread further. Anyways, moving on, gentlemen. I'll tell you who else is moving on. China is officially besties with Moscow. They've officially sent a People's Liberation Ground Army Forces delegation to Moscow to discuss the issues of military cooperation. And I will step back and let you guys talk after I share the sentiment that Stan also shared this with when he let me see this, which was shit.
Well, I mean,
My
it-
username applies. I'm a dumb civvy. I have no commentary. Sorry.
well, this just puts a fine point on something that already existed, to be honest with you. And what this particular step of it, unless I'm misreading it, Blaine, what this particular step of it is, we've been already doing this in the shadows, and now we're going to just say outright we're going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's it. You got to remember, and I think the part that the American people really need to focus on with this is this was created by Joe and Kamala. This relationship was forged with our response to the Ukrainian war. And
Correct.
we created this problem. And now they don't even care about being covert about it. And much like the recent meeting between Russia and North Korea. They're just going to do it right in front of us because they're like, what are you going to do about it? We've seen the guy you have in charge. We're not worried.
Is this supposed to be news? Like, I feel like this is like a long, slow road that we've been walking down toward for the last, at the bare minimum, 3 years, but arguably decades.
It's news in the way that if you are walking down a long highway, passing a mile marker is news. You've seen it coming for a very long time. You've been watching it happening in slow motion for probably 10 20 minutes now, but we have finally passed the mile marker.
Yeah Thanks for the update, chat.
So and lastly, just in time for worldwide civil wars, boys, are machine guns back on the menu?
No. You have to do the voice, Watcher. You have to do the voice.
No, maybe later. But
Damn it.
this was pretty good. So a machine gun possession case was dismissed by a district court in Kansas yesterday on Second Amendment grounds. Here's the deal. It will probably be challenged, but the government was unable to sufficiently show evidence that there are historical precedents for restrictions on machine guns because they are very clearly bearable arms.
Yes, and they screwed up and admitted just exactly how many machine guns exist that they are aware of. Now, the reality in this is, if you take the time to read it, it's pretty clear that this is a charging screw up, because the judge literally, in his decision, literally handholds the feds into, if you'd have just done this, or if you'd have just done that. So don't think this is like an uber, oh my God, we win, we all get fully fun button AKs.
Correct.
No, that's not how that goes.
Correct.
But it is one more nail, hopefully, eventually, in the coffin of the NFA. Wouldn't that be nice?
Blaine?
I don't trust the court system, so I gotta be honest with you. Yeah, that's always my default, because it always depends on the judge you get and what his or her political leanings are, and there's a spin that goes on with this. It's encouraging. I think it's encouraging, but will it actually result in what we want? I seriously doubt that.
What was the name of the one hyper-based judge from Kenosha?
The one that ran the trial?
The Kenosha judge, the one that ran the
trial. Schrader was not actually that base, but that's who you're thinking of.
Schrader. Yeah, well, I'm just going to say that for every Schrader, there are like 10 or 12 January 6th judges.
Yeah, we've got to get out of this thing where these courts are making policy, period.
That's not stopping anytime soon.
I know, but boy, I'll tell you, that's where a lot of this problem is coming from.
It's true.
I'm
gonna bring a little bit of a black pill to this, and I do apologize. At least people are gonna call it a black pill. We've seen a number of really awesome different judgments come through from the Supreme Court, much less a lower court. And like the Bruin decision is a perfect example. And leftist states are just going to continue doing what leftist states are doing. They're basically ignoring Bruin at the cyclic rate. There's a handful of other decisions that have come out recently that the same rules apply. I have a feeling that even if this were to go all the way to SCOTUS, this is probably not going to look like what we want it to look like. So feel free to temper your expectations.
Oh, I agree. Temper your expectations. I don't think anything's coming in this particular case. It's just fun to bring up. However, I disagree with you on the black pilling there, man. Bruin is an excellent example, actually. And yes, they're tossing up new roadblocks and ignoring it where they can in some ways.
Yeah.
The court is slapping them down consistently. It just takes a while. Like it takes a little while. Plus, I don't live in a leftist state. You don't live in a leftist state. They can ignore it all they like as far as I'm concerned. All right, gents. Well, let's get into our ad break. So I've actually got a couple of them. And the first one I'm going to say is, hey there, are you wishing you had better radio communication skills and or fieldcraft skills? Boy, do I have the class for you. In fact, two of them. If you're in the North Carolina area, my friend and yours, Joe Dolio, is teaching a fieldcraft class from the 13th to the 15th. And then they'll be teaching another one in Oklahoma for community security from the 20th to the 22nd. And in fact, if you join us in Oklahoma, you are very likely to spot a wild watcher. I am probably going to be on said ranch for other purposes, but I also may have been drafted for role playing duty, so that'll be fun.
Op 4 gang.
Also, NC Scout has classes in Missouri on the same dates, the 20th through the 22nd, and he's also doing an RTO course on the 23rd through the 25th. I'm pretty sure that's going to be at home base. So, if you're out there and wishing to do some networking or wishing to up your skills, head on in to those tacticalwisdom.com. You should be able to check out the training tab there and sign up for classes. Next, let's talk about our dear friend Don, who is look, guys, we've done great by him. We've raised a lot of money, but let's be very honest, what we've raised is probably about a tenth of what, maybe less of what his overall legal fees are going to be in this case. I will share the only part I feel comfortable sharing. I don't know any more than you do, other than he has told me, think biblical, like, Job.
Yeah.
So
The outcomes of this are not likely to be good anytime soon.
Correct. So if you are able, we really appreciate you folks. But if you are able, if you have money, head on over to Give Send Go. We've raised $9,000 for the big guy so far. And as you can see, they have set the current goal at $250,000, which I think is an estimate that they had received for what it is likely to cost them.
Yep. Can I add on to this, Watcher?
Oh, certainly.
So-
Just let me say before you do that. And if you're getting tired of this, suck it up. Expect this to be a repeating segment for a very long time.
In that same vein, I'm going to mention think of this very much more like a marathon and not a sprint. This is a road that is long to hoe, and Don is going to be in this for the foreseeable future. And if you want to pin that link in chat, that'd be awesome, Watcher. I don't have permissions, otherwise I'd happily do it. This is a long process, and while we are definitely grateful for all the work that everyone has done, this road has not ended and is in fact just beginning. So please do help if you can.
And yes, we are considering some fun fundraising shows we can do to help raise money for Don.
That sounds like a great idea.
But, strip poker has been offered, specifically where he starts naked and then you guys pay him to put clothes on.
Oh man, that's gonna hit a big roadblock very quickly.
Wow.
Well, speaking of big roadblocks, boys, actually, hold on, Blaine. Which of the many books you've released since the last time you were on the show would you like to promote?
Book 7 of the Land and Sea series dropped a week ago, which is Cyclones of Chaos. It's been on the Amazon bestseller list. Can't argue with it. So lots of good feedback so far. And that's it.
Well, you guys heard him. Head out if you haven't done so already. Get book 7. If you've not read up to book 7, might I recommend starting at book 1. It's pretty fantastic. Boy, we are joined by a late bloomer. How you doing, Don?
Morning. Sorry about that. My life is full of untimely conversations lately, as you might imagine.
Oh, you're fine, but you were very timely. We literally had just got done giving the old Give Send Go a share. Why don't you give the folks a little update on that?
So it is looking like the number on there should cover basically, the goal on that Give Send Go should cover everything. So much so that I might see if there's some way to change that number somewhat mildly. But
wow.
You are directly contradicting what we just said and thought was the truth. So glad we had you.
So it turns out that you guys are probably right to have gone the direction that you went. Numbers that I am getting tend to come with I give a January 6th discount.
Wow.
So
well, one day when the accounting's all said and done, it'll be great to give those people some more
Yes.
Well, I'm gonna have to pause you real quick. People are asking and speculating, so I'm just gonna say one more time. If you weren't here in the intro, yes, chat. Scott has been stricken down by some sort of rare Asian disease. I think dengue fever is the one I'm gonna go with.
We could just go with yellow fever.
Ooh, oh yeah, that's,
Ooh.
No, he already had that.
that went that slid quick.
that's getting clipped.
This is, I think he's got a case of miso horny.
He could.
Okay,
Might.
since you guys went down that path, I can go lower. Okay.
I am here to help you out in these moments, Blaine.
I just needed the
Oh.
door cracked open. That's it.
Boy,
Just
I'll tell you.
tiny crack, you just push your way in.
I'm glad we're here. I'm glad we're here in this attitude. I'm just telling you, you're gonna need this these chuckles, this levity. You're gonna need it. Because next we are going to discuss I was gonna call it the abortion on stage last night, but I think there actually probably was a real abortion on stage last night.
I don't know.
I'm just
that you can be
assuming by
argued
the
with.
van.
No, the abortions were in a van that they had parked out front.
So we know about that. There may or may not have been an abortion on stage.
So yeah, Kamala got up and gents, I think I am fair if any of you have seen it in saying that they kind of officially said our strategy is not to reveal our strategy until we are elected, which I will say what you want about it. You can call it devious and underhanded. You can call it just literally not being prepared at all. You can call it a lot of things, but you have to admit that it's a really brilliant strategy for not getting called out for lying in your campaign promises by not making it.
So this just feels like the strategy that most politicians use, where they make sort of vague promises about doing X thing that could also mean Y thing. This is just that taken to the umpteenth level of, yeah, we're just gonna do stuff and you'll like it. And that's how this goes.
I think of this is everything about being woke. They're going to change the world. They're going to do all these things, but there's no specific plan, and they don't have a plan. They don't care. This is just, they literally know that they can't run her on anything, substantive, because she's tied to this administration, and that the Biden Harris administration's a boat anchor. They're not going to tie themselves to this. This is all going to be about feelings, because that, the last 4 years plus has been all that party has been about is how do you feel? Because they equate feelings to facts. They equate feelings to reality. So they're going to push this whole, don't you feel joy? Don't you feel the energy? Don't you feel the momentum? If I hear that word one more time, I'm going to vomit. It's literally that's what they're going to go with. And I'm curious to see how it plays out in an actual debate, because it's going to get ugly.
I think that's why they're ducking it, right? I mean, Waltz is the only one who's currently signed up for a debate, I think.
Washer, you went off in a hole.
Yep.
Oh, I was saying
There you are.
I think they're avoiding that. Isn't Waltz the only one who's currently agreed to a debate?
No, I think Kamala is committed to the one, but Trump asked for a second one, and the answer was kick rocks.
Oh, that's gonna go real well. I'm sure of it. Wow.
There was this asshole on the internet that spent a lot of time talking about some things, and one of the things he said was feelings don't care about your facts.
Yeah, but fuck that guy.
I don't know. I don't know though, man. Like I legitimately don't know that Kamala can girl boss herself through an entire hour of an actual debate. That sounds like a very unappealing prospect for everyone involved.
So, in reality, Kamala's probably going to get bodied in a debate. I don't know that actually matters.
Yeah, it just won't matter.
Correct.
Yeah, I think that's probably true.
Well, can I reference my favorite thing to reference at this point?
How dare you?
The Bernie Sanders and Ted Cruz debate,
Yep.
in which Bernie Sanders walked up on stage and went, Medicare for all, healthcare, it's free. And Ted Cruz went, excuse me, I'm a tiny nerd with a lot of facts. This is impossible. There's no real way that we could ever get it done. And every single leftist was like, Bernie destroyed Ted Cruz.
Yep.
So it doesn't matter what debate performance looks like for much of this country.
I just
You
have to
know,
say,
I used to
understand why
believe
you-
that until the last presidential debate.
Well, here's the deal, though.
Okay, to be fair, there's a lower limit. All right, I guess I should say that.
Look, that's true, but I will say I think that the only reason the last presidential had that debate is that it was set up to have that debate. Or sorry, that it had that effect is that it was set up to have that effect. I think that was the only reason that happened is that it was coordinated.
Well, all they're going to do is preload her with some one-line zingers when Trump corners her. So if he starts explaining to her how the economy goes, she's going to go, "Don't mansplain to me, Don."
Yes.
You know, they're going to give her a lot of zingers like that to throw out. But Trump's like a pit bull on speed. He's going to lock his jaws onto her and shake her a lot. And if nothing else, it's going to be entertaining to watch because and when she goes, you're just being misogynistic, he's going to go, I'm not being misogynistic. You're just being a retard.
So, arguably, I think that might not go that way. We have seen that Donald tends to do a lot better when he's sort of on the defensive as opposed to in the seat of power. As of right now, he is technically the underdog, so he might have a little bit more of a limited approach. We did see that, pitbull on speed approach a little bit more when he was debating as president, which is why he had the performance that he did.
Well, gents, I think. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Don.
No, I will be sad if he doesn't answer. Don't mansplain things to me with. Well, somebody should explain something to you.
That'd be wonderful.
Oh,
that would
Don't
be.
you just really wish you were on his debate prep team for
sure.
Oh my God, yes.
Yes, Don for debate coach. Seriously.
Well, I will say we all have had various different reactions, but I think that the one that I've liked best that I've seen out of our celebrity people is someone who kind of knows them from the inside. Look, there's a lot of criticism of Tucker Carlson, but the one thing you cannot say about the man is that he doesn't know the people of which he now rails against. And in case you didn't see it, we're gonna watch it in its entirety. Here's his opinion, his kind of live reaction to Kamala's speech last night.
Consider what he intends to do if we give him power again. Consider his explicit intent to set free violent extremists who assaulted those law enforcement officers at the Capitol. His explicit intent to jail journalists, political opponents, and anyone he sees as the enemy.
Can I just interject here for a second? This woman's really scary. She could easily get elected president. She's much more skillful than I have ever seen. She's a liar on the deepest level. Things she is saying right now are not just untrue, they're the opposite of the truth, which is the hallmark of evil. She's an extremist. She'll say anything. She's much more like Gavin Newsom than I ever realized. I could go through a whole litany of why what she's saying is not true. It wasn't an armed mob. There's not one person inside the Capitol with a firearm, period. The only person who was shot in the Capitol was an unarmed woman shot by one of Nancy Pelosi's bodyguards. So again and again, she's telling us that she fought the cartels to secure the border. She's the border czar, and the border is controlled by the cartels.
She argued that Donald Trump, quote, tried to throw away your votes. Didn't the Democrat Party just throw away all the votes and install her?
Well, exactly. She's saying that Donald Trump will free from prison violent extremists, meaning like 75-year-old lower middle class women with diabetes. when she endorsed defunding the police and opening the prisons to allow actual criminals out, which is why the crime rate has spiked, to allow the population of Venezuela's prisons, Caracas's prisons are now living in the United States because of her. I mean, I guess what I'm saying is, and I don't want to sound like I'm whining or fact checking, which I hate, but what she's saying is the mirror image of the truth. She doesn't care. She's got no reference points in the truth, and she's an extremist. And she's a former prosecutor, and no former prosecutor should hold power, period. I've covered them my whole life. I've intensely disliked every single one of them for good reason. I think they're scary, they're liars, and they're megalomaniacal.
Amen. I think that last part rings more true than anything. There's a lot of good parts of that, but no, former prosecutors should be kept as far away from power as humanly possible. They should essentially be an American untouchable class. Gents, any comment before we move on?
None that I can say on YouTube.
Well, I mean, how do you define
You know
these
what?
things in a way where it's
That's
not horrifically bad?
Hunter, that's a very good point. It's Domestic Friday, and you know what? We're still on YouTube. So I'll tell you what, guys, I'm gonna do this transition a lot quicker. I'm just gonna read a super chat that I've got here from Rumble, and then I'll drop the link and we'll head over there. Actually, here, let me give you the link first. All of you who can, bam. Head on over to Rumble, get switched over. We'll play the transition music here in a second. Pinot Chase Helicopter for $5. Thank you so much. He says, panel, do you honestly think that agencies will hedge their bets? You don't think a point of no return was crossed? Old Charlie stole the handle and the train, it just won't stop going. Now it can't slow down. Yeah, no, I think we've all pretty much expressed that we do believe, in fact, that the Rubicon has already been crossed. Anybody want to argue with that?
The only comment that I would make is that they will probably try to act like the Rubicon hasn't been crossed. Oh, we need amnesty for blah, 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 blah. Don't let them.
Yeah. Thanks. All right, everybody. Links in the chat. Head on over to Rumble. Hit the button. We'll see you on the other side.
It's 11:59, America. Free America. This is Uncle Sam with music and truth until dawn. Right now, I've got some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. 3, 4, 6. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, America. Another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on and behind the lines, this is your song.